Russ.
Tell us your name and where you're calling from. We are so happy to see you. I am Amanda Walker, our Revolution organizer, and I am honored to welcome everyone to our live No Kings, No Oligarchs call tonight. We are living through turbulent times with Trump ramping up war in Iran, terrorizing our communities with ICE, and pillaging our economy to enrich the billionaire class. We have got a powerful lineup of progressive leaders who are taking this all on without fear, including U.S. Rep. Jasmine Crockett, who will join us in just a few minutes. We've also got the latest on No King's Day with Christine Wood from Declaration for American Democracy as we gear up, train organizers, and recruit nationwide to make the March 28th mobilization the largest protest in American history. This is a pivotal moment, and our movement is stepping up. We'll be joined by inspiring candidates who refuse corporate PAC money and champion the defund the oligarchs agenda. Folks like Patty García for Illinois' 4th District, Karina Villa for Illinois Comptroller, and Jane Kim for California Insurance Commissioner. It's going to be an energizing, action-focused call, and we're thrilled you're here with us. Let me check in on the chat and see who's joining us already. We've got Chris from Maine, Jason from East Tennessee, Glenn from Tampa, Tracy in California, let's see, Cincinnati. That's Sarah. Hi, Sarah. Tim from Northeast Pennsylvania. Jennifer from Phoenix. Ooh, Judith sends hope, hugs, love, and smiles from Fort Lauderdale. Thank you so much. So many people joining us. Love to see it. If you haven't yet, join us in the chat by saying hello to the Our Revolution community. Introduce yourself, where you're from, and why you're tuning in. Once again, my name is Amanda Walker. I'm an organizer here at Our Revolution, and I am so glad to welcome you to our live national organizing call. As Trump escalates a war in Iran and targets our communities with ICE raids, we're bringing together bold, progressive leaders who are fighting back, including U.S. Rep. Jasmine Crockett. We'll share a major No King's Day update with Christine Woods from our coalition partners at Declaration for American Democracy, including how we're training and recruiting to make the next mobilization the largest nationwide protest in American history. This is a watershed moment, and we're going all in. We'll be joined by exciting candidates who reject corporate PAC money and back the defund the oligarchs agenda. Folks like Patty García for Illinois 4th District in Congress, Karina Villa for Illinois Comptroller, and Jane Kim for California Insurance Commissioner. It's going to be a powerful call, and we're glad you all decided to tune in with us tonight. Our country is in a very heavy moment. ICE is still terrorizing our communities. Trump's oligarchs are plundering our democracy and our tax dollars, and we don't have a moment to waste as we head into the midterms. 2026 is the year we must take back power from Trump and the oligarchs and for our communities. This is our opportunity to stop the worst of the Trump regime and deliver policy that serves the many, not the money. Now, let's see who else we've got joining us in the chat. We've got Julie from LA, Christina from Taos, New Mexico. We've got Cynthia from Knightdale, North Carolina. Thank you for being here. Oh, another New Mexico, Janet. Thank you for joining us. Carrie from Wyoming, Kim from Cambridge, Ohio, Nina in Florida, Dan from Wheaton, Illinois, Nancy in Sausalito. Love seeing all these folks from all across the country. Mandy and Sarah from Connecticut. Thank you for joining us. Denise from South Florida. Thank you. Sandy from Green Bay. Everybody. Oh, I'm so glad to see all of these states represented. Thank you so much for joining us and making the decision to join this call and this movement. Before we jump in, I do want to drop a link to plug in with our Revolution Citizen Action Team. You can join the resistance in the streets and help elect candidates who will take back power in the midterms. All right, let's see, you get a few more people here. Cindy from Maryland, Rita in DC, Peter in Honolulu, Sue from Minneapolis, solidarity to you in Minneapolis, especially. Lori from Cleveland, Kujenga from Columbus, Norman from O'Fallon, Illinois, Paulina in Vancouver, who saw another Vancouverite, Vancouver representing, Leah in South Jersey, Greg in marvelous Mount Shasta, California, Doreen from Hudson Valley, and Lita from Houston, Valerie from Central Connecticut, Pam from Massachusetts, and Amy Hopeful from Madison, Wisconsin. Me too. All right. Well, thank you so much all for joining us. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to our host for the evening, our Revolution Deputy Director, Paco Fabian.
Thank you, Amanda Walker. Hello, everybody, and shout out to Amanda Walker. That was a great intro. Clap it up for her. Good evening, everybody. I'm Paco Fabian. I'm the Deputy Director here at Our Revolution, and I want to welcome you to our live Organized to Win call. I don't need to tell you guys this, you know it already. But these are turbulent times we're living in, right? Trump just bombed Iran and is entangling us in another illegal war. ICE is still terrorizing our communities, and this is the authoritarianism our movement is committed to fighting. And it's not, and that's one of the reasons we're gathered here tonight to say no kings and no oligarchs. Trump thinks he's a king, unconstrained by law and the Constitution. And we're here to remind him that he's accountable to us, the American people. Bernie Sanders founded our revolution in 2016 with a clear objective, that is to build power from the bottom up. And that's exactly what we're doing in the streets for events like No Kings and by electing progressives in the midterms. Trump's actions in Iran are unconstitutional, plain and simple. Only Congress can declare war, and we are making our voices heard on Capitol Hill in these moments where we need it most. We hope you'll join us in calling on your members of Congress to support the Kana Masi War Powers Resolution in the House and Tim Kaine's companion bill in the Senate. You can go to the link that's getting dropped in the chat now to add your name. Over 10,000 Our Revolution supporters have already signed it, and we want to ramp up the pressure on Congress to stop this war. Again, that link is getting dropped in the chat right now. Meanwhile, as this new costly war escalates, Americans are being squeezed here at home. You guys know this, I know it, right? Things are getting more expensive. Trump and his oligarchs are plunging us into a war and treating our government like a personal ATM. And the so-called golden age he's creating is for his billionaire donors and his own family at the expense of everyday Americans like you and I that are struggling to afford the basic necessities of life. We feel that when groceries cost more, when rent goes up, when electricity bills jump 9% in a month, real wages are shrinking and workers are getting the smallest share of the economy on record. That's the real economy we're living in, despite Trump's lies at last week's State of the Union. Our revolution's researchers have been digging into the numbers sector by sector, and what we found is frankly staggering. Trump's billionaire donors and corporate backers have cashed in to the tune of more than 170 billion in tax breaks, contracts, and policy favors. That's billion with a B. And I think I want to take a moment here to really get to the scale of what that means. A lot of people don't understand the concept of million versus billion. So let me try and lay it out for you guys. 1 million seconds is about 11 and a half days. 1 billion seconds is about 11 years. I'm sorry, 37 years. So that's quite a big difference there, right? I think one of the sayings I've heard is, what's the difference between a million and a billion? Well, it's a billion, right? So for every 1 million invested in Trump, key donors in big tech, big oil, crypto, and other industries are seeing billions in return. That's not public policy, that's political profiteering, and that's what oligarchy looks like, the merger of state power and corporate power. That's why our revolution launched the Defund the Oligarchs, Fund the People campaign. This isn't just about calling out corruption, it's about building a governing strategy. On our last national call, we had Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib join us to talk about introducing the Defund the Oligarchs, Fund the People resolution in Congress. And since then, leaders like Summer Lee, Pramila Jayapal, Jan Schakowsky, and Delia Ramirez have all joined on. This is how we begin to turn outrage into legislation. Defunding the oligarchy means cutting off the pipelines that convert political donations into tax breaks, deregulation, subsidies, contracts, all for billionaire-backed corporations and their investors. It means redirecting those resources into healthcare, housing, education, climate action, and good paying jobs with good rights and protections. To learn more and take action on the fight to defund the oligarchs campaign, you can check out our new website. It's getting dropped in the chat right now. And that brings us now to the midterms, right? Because none of this changes unless we elect fighters, leaders who are not afraid of corporate PACs because they don't take their money. Leaders who will stand shoulder to shoulder with this movement and take on Trump and the billionaire class directly. People who will use power to dismantle corruption and promote peace. The midterms are not just about flipping seats. They're about flipping the script. We're going to keep electing politicians who talk about inequality but leave their power structures intact? I don't think we are. Or are we going to send a new generation of leaders to Washington and state houses across the country who are ready to cut the cords tying government billionaires and donors? If democracy is going to survive, it has to deliver for working people. It has to lower costs. It has to raise wages. It has to protect rights. It has to invest in our communities, and it has to prevent war. That's the fight that we're in. Tonight, we'll share a major update about the next No Kings Day with Christine Wood from our coalition partners at Declaration for American Democracy, and we'll hear from three amazing candidates who are ready to take back power in the midterms and take the fight against oligarchy straight into the halls of power. I'm talking about Patty García, who's running for Congress in Illinois' 4th Congressional District, Karina Villa, who's running for Illinois Comptroller, Jane Kim, who's running for California Insurance Commissioner. Folks in California are really going through it with insurance because of fires, floods, and healthcare, of course. But first, we'll be joined here by U.S. Representative Jasmine Crockett. She'll be our first guest here tonight. And I don't think she's here yet, but are you here yet, Congresswoman Crockett? Well, she'll be on, I hope, shortly. Again, we're going to be hearing from our guest, Patty Garcia, who's running for Congress in Illinois' 4th Congressional District, Karina Villa, who's running for Illinois Comptroller, and Jane Kim, who's running for California Insurance Commissioner. But we will also be having a conversation with Christine Woods around the upcoming No Kings events that are going to be happening later this month. And so, as I mentioned, the Fund the Oligarchy campaign is up and running. We have a resolution with Rashida Tlaib and others that are joining. We need to get as many folks on that as possible. So if you happen to have the phone number for your congressman's office, please give them a call. Let them know that they should join the Defund the Oligarchs, Fund the People resolution that Rashida Tlaib has introduced in Congress, and help us push back against the fleecing of America by billionaires and corporations that are more interested in profit than they are in, taking care of the American people. So, again, still trying to figure out if our first guest is here yet. But if she's not, maybe we can move on to our next guest. Wondering if Patty Garcia is here in Illinois' 4th Congressional District. I see Patty's camera coming on. Hello, Patty. How are you?
Hello, hello.
It's great to see you. I'm so excited that you're here with us today. Let's talk a little bit about you, right? You've spent the last 15 years fighting for immigrant families, workers, and economic justice. And you've also served as the district director and chief of staff for Representative Chuy Garcia, who's one of our good friends here at Our Revolution. So it's great to see you, Patty. Thank you for joining us here tonight and signing the Fight the Oligarchy pledge. How are you going to take this fight to Congress?
So good evening, brothers, sisters, and siblings. Dr. Patty Garcia here from the southwest side of Chicago, proud daughter of migrantes from Mexico. I'm a daughter of a union member, sister of a union member. And so growing up in the southwest side of Chicago, in a working class community, in an immigrant community, that has always fueled me. Making sure that we're fighting for our communities, making sure that we're putting people over profit. And so I'm ready to go to Congress to ensure that we're taking big money out of politics. Plain and simple, big money out of politics is one of my key priorities. Look, in Illinois, what you're seeing right now is these special interests, these large organizations, these consultant class coming in and trying to buy racists left and right. And that ain't right. And I'll tell you right now, as someone who's been doing organizing work, voter registration work, trying to expand our electorate, trying to build coalitions and build power, one of those things that really drives me and fuels me is making it to Congress to ensure that we can take big money out of politics. I'm ready to fight for our democracy because it's on the line. I'm ready to fight and defend for the 4th Congressional District and for our country. We've seen how the oligarchs, the billionaires, the Trump administration, his clan and his buddies have tried to steal everything, steal resources, steal our communities, ensuring that they're making profit left and right. And so one of the things that is key for me is ensuring that we hold this administration accountable, ensuring that we're not allowing big money to buy elections anymore. As I've said, in Illinois, just in Illinois alone, in the primary cycle right now, $18 million have gone in to try to buy elections. And when I say big money and special interests, I'm talking about groups like APAC. I'm talking about like groups like crypto, right? They're coming in here trying to purchase these candidates and make their way. And in the 4th Congressional District, in the Southwest side, we're not having that. And so I'm ready to go to Congress to ensure that we have working class communities represented by people who come from working class communities, that someone like me, when I talk about fighting for this district, these are not just talking points. This is the lived experience that I've had growing up in this community, going to public schools and protecting public education. Right now we're at a very pivotal point. And I'm very grateful that I've got the support of labor, that I've got the support of community members, that I've got support of progressive members. I've got the support, of the great Congresswoman Delia Ramirez in the Northwest side. I've got the support of Congressman Chuy Garcia, right? And what I'm trying to do is continue that legacy, that progressive legacy that has come from the Southwest side of Chicago, from the Northwest side of Chicago, the foundation that has been laid by, people like the great Bernie Sanders, by the AOC, right? And by Greg Casar and others. And I want to continue that legacy. We've seen how the Democratic Party, has also come under attack. And we've seen how the progressives in particular have come under attack. And it's really important that our progressive values continue to be protected, that we stick with one another, that we're united to ensure that we're working for our communities, that we're holding corporations accountable, that ensuring that we're holding polluters accountable, ensuring that, these companies that are trying to make a buck or two or more than a buck or two off of, and things like consumer protection, making sure that we're protecting all of that. And so know that, with someone like me, someone who humbly comes from a very working class community, that's why I'm going to Congress, because I want to make sure that we've got a progressive voice there representing our communities that won't be and will not be bought by special interests like APAC, crypto, or any other special interest.
Thank you, Patty. We really appreciate that. You're one of us. And wanted to ask a little bit also about the state of your race, right? What are some of the biggest issues that folks in the 4th Congressional District of Illinois are facing? And what's the race looking like?
So I'd say the number one issue, right? The 4th Congressional District is the only Latino majority district in the entire Midwest. We have a second Latino influence district, but this is the only Latino majority. And so it has been a punching bag from the Trump administration. Since the first one, it's been a punching bag. So sending enforcement, detaining our neighbors, kidnapping our fathers and mothers, even some of our staff have been detained. And so immigration is a top priority. We've got neighbors that have been working 2-3 jobs for some type of protection, for some type of pathway to citizenship. And so for me, immigration is a number one priority, because I hear that from neighbors left and right as we're going, door to door, door knocking, as the work that I've been doing. Immigration has been top of mind for everyone, in particular, families that have been here for 20, 30 years and can't even have security from deportation, can't even go back to their original countries to see their fathers or their mothers, right? And so it's important for me to uplift those experiences of the DACA recipients, of refugees, of long-term immigrants and recent immigrants, right? To ensure that we protect and we respect the immigrant community. And, for me, that's a number one priority. I think the second priority that we're hearing from a lot of residents across the 4th District is the economy, right? It's unfortunate that we're seeing this administration literally steal and rob our children from food programs, stealing Social Security benefits, firing federal workers and veterans. And so when we talk about the economy, supporting our small businesses, supporting our families, supporting good paying union jobs, and ensuring that we're bringing and restoring all those programs. Those are some of the top 2 priorities, and I'll add a third one as well. Growing up in an environmental justice community, I think that the environment is also really, really important. We've got to think about our children, the future that we leave them, and we have to make sure that our kids and our families have the right to clean air, that we have clean water, and that when we find that there are bad polluters, we have to hold them accountable. And so those are, I would say, the 3 things that we hear and impacts across the district, from the suburban side to the city side, some of the priorities.
Great. And then my last question for you, Patty, is what's going to be your main focus once you make it to Congress? What are you going to do when you join me here in Washington, D.C., so we can, go hang out and eat some good Mexican food? I'll show you all the best spots. You've been here before, so you know. But
Yeah, so again, number 1, immigration. We need to make sure that this country remains a beacon of hope, a beacon of opportunity, that we restore the due process and the trust that people have in our immigration system. There's a lot that we do, and number 1, we also have to dismantle ICE, and we have to abolish it. I've been very clear since day 1. I won't say it on here because we got a live, but I'll say F ICE. I was very, very vocal about that, and what that means to me when I say F ICE, I mean abolish it. There's no reason why taxpayer money is being used against our own communities, our working communities, our immigrant communities, to kill innocent people. And so, that immigration, that's number 1, ensuring that we're focusing on the backlog of cases. We have thousands of cases, people that have been waiting 20, 30 years just to become a resident, just to become a citizen. When we say, and we hear other people say, get in line, people have been in line for 20, 30 years, and it's just completely unfair when they're paying billions of dollars into our federal programs, into taxes, into programs that they can't even benefit. And so, being a daughter of immigrants, representing a large immigrant community, immigration is number 1 for me.
well, thank you, Patty, for your time today, and I'm super happy to announce that we've endorsed you for your race in the Illinois 4th
Thank you.
Congressional District. And I just want to say muchas gracias, hermana, por platicar con nosotros hoy. Really appreciate you coming to join us. Thank you so much.
Gracias.
All right. So thank you to Patty. That was an awesome segment. I want to take it now to Christine Wood, right? Christine, I want to welcome her onto our call. She's going to dig into a little bit of what we got going on for No King's Day, and what are some of the options that folks have here, right? So, Christine, are you here with us?
Yeah, so happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for joining us, and really appreciate the partnership with DFAT and Public Citizen and Indivisible and everybody else that's involved in No King's Day. We really appreciate all the work that's going into that for everybody. So tell us a little bit about what's going on. What's the plan for No King's Day?
Sure. Well, first, before I dive in, I just want to acknowledge the times that we're living in. People right now are living in fear as mass ICE agents terrorize immigrant communities, rip families apart. All while this is happening, working people are getting crushed by rising costs, while this administration cuts our protections and hands massive giveaways to billionaires. And when our families are under attack and costs are pushing people to the brink, silence is not an option. So that is why we are once again showing up for No Kings. This one scheduled for March 28th, and we're hoping this will be bigger than ever before. I'm sure, I know that you all were with us during the last No Kings in October. It's been a real pleasure to be organizing a community with so many fantastic on-the-ground activists and organizations from across the country. Already for this upcoming No Kings Day, we have 1,500 plus events on our events map, which you can access at nokings.org. And I just want to ground us in a reminder of what we've already accomplished. We've had 2 No Kings so far. This coming up is our 3rd. And I just want to remind us about the history that we made. In 2025, it's not an exaggeration to say that millions of Americans came together under No Kings to oppose this growing authoritarian regime and their actions. And now our goal is to be even bigger than ever before, which is going to be a challenge because last time we made history. 7 million people came out across the nation for the largest single day of protest in U.S. history. We did that together last October, and now for this next one, we want to do it again, but to do so, we need your help. So I'll name a couple of the ways that folks can get plugged in, and then I'm happy, Paco, to answer any questions that you or others have. But first things first, we need your help. One of our goals here is to get larger. That means we need to be in more communities than ever before. So I need everyone right now, open your browser and go to nokings.org. I can also drop it in the chat, but nokings.org, and you can find an event near you. Like I said already, 1,500 plus events, but more are being added every single day. There's hundreds more that I think have been posted just today. And the good news is it's actually not too late to plan an event, to put one on the event map. I know that the images that have gone viral are of the large cities where there's tens of thousands of people in the streets, and those ones are exciting and powerful and fantastic to be a part of. But one of my favorite events for the last No Kings had one person. It was a proud protest of one in a community that was in a rural area. And I think that everyone can be an event host so long as you sign up now and participate in all of the wonderful trainings that we have. I really am proud to work with No Kings because we take this seriously. We offer a ton of training for event hosts and attendees as well. As soon as you sign up to host an event, you're given our host toolkit that has everything that you need from experienced organizers, step-by-step guidelines on how to organize an event, how to think about things like a sound system or a location or permits, or how to approach safety and de-escalation. And there's going to be also office hours twice a week, so you can get support in real time, as well as an inbox and other resources as well. So I just want to underline that hosts are going to be very supported here. We're excited to work with experienced hosts as well as newer hosts on events big and small in cities, towns, villages, and rural communities. And we really hope that you all can join us both by attending and by hosting. And I'll go ahead and drop, oh, thank you, Diane. I see that Diane already dropped in the chat the link to create an event. I hope that folks can sign on. It's gonna be historic, and with everything that we are facing right now, it's just more important than ever to say no thrones, no crowns, no kings. So really excited to see folks on March 28th.
And Christine, can you describe a little bit what the host toolkit has in it? I think you touched on it a little bit, but I think want to make it a little more specific for the folks that might be interested in potentially organizing their own event.
Sure. So the host toolkit is designed to just make it as simple as possible for folks to organize an event. So No Kings has messaging guidance that is available in the No Kings toolkit. There's everything from sample emails, sample press releases, sample social media content, as well as talking points if you need support figuring out your remarks. And then there's also, like I mentioned, resources in there on specific topics. So there'll be trainings, but there'll also be written resources as well. Things like know your rights cards, guidance around permitting, as well as just general tips for how to host a good event. I always think it's helpful to have like a host team, to have a group of people that you can organize with. So there's also suggestions for roles. So one thing that we're recommending folks do this time is to have a host, but then also to have a volunteer in charge of just your safety plan. So that way you can just spread the responsibility amongst, a couple or a group of people if you're in a position where you can have multiple people involved with your event. And then not only does it make for a better event and I think more pleasant experience for the host, but also it's a lot of fun. I've made some of my best friends that way.
That's great. And do you know, I know we're just starting to plan the march and we're about a month out from that one, right? But I'm assuming, the goal here is to keep activity going, right? We're going through a lot. We've talked about ICE with Patty. We've talked at the top of the call on this new illegal war that's being waged, that kicked off over the weekend. Why is it so important for so many of us to be out and raising our voices?
Sure. Um, well, if I could just, I've been thinking a lot about the history of organizing in this country as we approach the anniversary coming up of Bloody Sunday in Selma. And I've been looking back at civil rights, the civil rights movement in this country for inspiration. I just want to remind folks that both in this country and across the world, nonviolent people-powered movements are the most successful path to real change. History is clear that people-led movements are how we end attacks on our rights and attempts at authoritarianism. But to do so, we need to make sure that we're building a broad coalition of as many people across the country as possible. I'm sure folks on this call may have heard of the 3.5% rule, which is getting very popularized in organizing spaces. But the sentiment is that when you look at history and look at authoritarian threats across the world, it's really critical that we're able to mobilize a substantial amount of folks to demonstrate our collective strength and to reject, have a resounding rejection of the authoritarian attacks that we're facing. So we've been growing ever since Trump came into office. I believe it was 5 million at the first No Kings, 7 million at the No Kings in October, and we're hoping to make history again. But to do so, we really need everyone to pitch in. Like I said, we made history last time, and lots of folks across the country worked really hard to reach that point. So that means we need more people. We need to be looking at our own personal networks. Who else can we reach out to? How can we get the word out on social media? How can we reach out to organizations that maybe didn't partner on the last one? And how can we bring them in? It's really critical that we continue to grow in order to not only defeat this authoritarian threat, but then to build a country that we want to afterwards.
Well, thank you, Christine. Really appreciate you joining us and giving us the inside look at what's happening and what's getting planned for March 28th. This mass day of action will show the world that America rejects Trump and his push to war, and to mobilize our movement so we can channel this energy into the primaries and the midterms that are coming up here in November. So the No Kings map, as Christine mentioned, is now up and running, and folks can sign in to organize an event or sign up to organize an event. That link is getting dropped in the chat. Again, Christine, thank you so much for joining us and look forward to seeing you out there.
Thank you. Can't wait. March 28th. See you there.
All right, take care. All right, so trying to figure out where our next guest is coming from. Let's see. We have with us Karina Villa. She's going to be our next guest. She is running for Illinois Comptroller. And Karina, the first question I want to ask you is, what does a comptroller do, right? As a state senator, you're also a former school social worker. Karina Villa knows budgets and moral documents, and she's ready to bring transparency, accountability, and fairness to how Illinois spends its public dollars. So, Karina, tell us a little bit about the position and why you're running for it.
Thank you so much for having me on tonight. It's such an honor. So yes, I am Karina Villa, and I am currently a state senator because I flipped one of the most Republican districts from red to blue, and I have been an unapologetic progressive ever since, and am also the unapologetic progressive in this race. So the controller gets to decide in what order to pay the bills, especially in times like these that we see this Trump regime that is slashing services to everything from housing, education, healthcare, mental health services. So the controller position is so vital right now. Also, I am looking to make sure that we use every single lever available to this office to protect our communities. In other words, in regards to procurement, if you are doing business with these masked monsters, with DHS, with CBP, I will build a public blacklist and contractor disclosure rules, and making sure that if you profit from ICE terror, then you are out. You cannot continue to receive money from this state. Now, the controller's seat has a bully pulpit for going across the state and talking about where the budget is failing people. So we are seeing these federal cost shifts that are threatening all kinds of services. We are being forced into thinking that austerity is the only way out. I do not believe in that. I will firmly use this statewide platform to talk about how we need to be taxing billionaires and corporations in order to make sure that everyday working people get the services that they need.
That's great, Karina, and super excited to hear about the contracting that you just mentioned. That's awesome. It's part of our candidate questionnaire, and so glad that you guys filled it out, and super excited to endorse you for your race for controller. So tell us a little bit about the state of the race itself, right? Elections on March 17th. What's been going on?
I am in a neck-to-neck race with my multi-million-dollar opponent who is backed by billionaires. She is depending on ultra-wealthy donors, including $100,000 from MAGA and AIPAC mega donors. She is also married to Illinois' top crypto lobbyist. I am a school social worker who ran for office because my students needed representation at the state level. They are my North Star. The working families of Illinois are why I am running for this seat. I have been endorsed by SEIU, the Illinois Federation of Teachers, Illinois Nurses Association, by my amazing congresista Delia Catalina Ramirez, by Lauren Underwood, by Patty García. I have your amazing endorsement as well. This is a people-powered campaign. Listen, she is outraising me, but I am not far behind because people have poured out their hard-earned money to help support my race, and we're still going. Look, we made the decision to go on broadcast and cable. We have enough money to pay for this week, and now I'm furiously fundraising to make sure that I have enough resources to stay up through the end of the election cycle.
Yeah, and look, it's always tough, right? When we're running a race against money, but let's not forget that what we're about the many, right? And so, Karina, how can folks learn more about your race, and how can folks get involved in door knocking, phone banking, texting, etc.?
Please go to my website, karinavilla.com, karinavilla.com. I just added it to the chat. I want to mention something I haven't mentioned yet. The controller has a seat, the Illinois State Controller has a seat on the Illinois Board of Investments. As such, I'm not sure if everyone here knows, but our treasurer in the state of Illinois, who is a Democrat, has been consistently investing in Israeli bonds. I would vote hell no to continue to invest our Illinois dollars on continuing to fund this Israeli government to do whatever they want to do, as we're watching right now unfold before our eyes, and as we've been watching with the people of Gaza. The reason that I am not endorsed by the Cook County Democratic Party is because a billionaire called around and said, do not endorse Karina Villa because she is a Hamas-loving kafaya-wearing anti-Semite. Because at the DNC, I was a ceasefire delegate, and I proudly wore my kafaya. So this race is about so many issues. Our people deserve representation, and that is why I'm unapologetically running for this seat.
And Karina, we're excited to support you in your race. You know, we've endorsed you in the past when you ran for state senate, and we're happy to do it again. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, and looking forward to seeing you in that seat next year.
Gracias, Paco. Thank you, everyone.
A ti, mucho amor, mucha fuerza y échale ganas. All right. Our next guest is going to be Jane Kim. I saw her on, if she was on just briefly. And Jane Kim has the full support of our revolution for her race for insurance commissioner. She's a former San Francisco supervisor. I had the pleasure of meeting her at the Cadems convention, not this past one, but the one before, at a Working Families Party event. And she's fought for tenant rights, affordable housing, holding powerful interests accountable. Jane, welcome to our Revolution Organized to Win call. Tell us a little bit about what the California Insurance Commissioner does and what you plan to do when you take that seat.
First of all, thank you so much for having me, and good evening, everyone. I'm actually outside. That's why my breath is, you see a little bit of cold air. I am running for California Insurance Commissioner, which is an under the radar but very under leveraged seat, which oversees a $3.3 trillion industry. This industry, by the way, is doing very well. Despite the media headlines, the property and casualty industry alone made $170 billion last year, with its top 10 CEOs making $391 million. Meanwhile, we do a great job of regulating us. We are required to have insurance to drive to work, to open a business, or to get a mortgage to buy our first home. And so for that reason, we have to make insurance affordable and available to all of us. Otherwise, we are shutting everyday people out of our economy. I am running for California Insurance Commissioner because I want to make insurance affordable and available to all Californians. And I'm running on a platform that is bold and ambitious, because I don't believe that small fixes are going to fix a big institutional problem. So I'm proposing a single payer home disaster insurance for all program run by the state of California, similar to how they have it in other countries like New Zealand, Spain, and France, one that is run by the public. One thing I didn't mention is that part of how the insurance industry makes its money is not actually by being in the business of insurance. They invest our premiums in the stock and bond market. And they're huge institutional investors in fossil fuel and a lot of other nasty things. And so putting our premiums in a public pool would ensure that we're investing in cleaner economies, and and we get to keep those returns with the public instead of bringing them to shareholders. And we take a percentage of those premiums in return and actually investing in resiliency and infrastructure that collectively makes us safer. Second, I want to expand our already existing nonprofit low-cost auto insurance program for more Californians. It's currently only available to the lowest income Californians. And this is something the insurance commissioner can do. We should go and compete on the private market with this insurance industry. They actually providing a lower cost nonprofit option to more California drivers. And third, I want to write a plan to make Medicare for kids a reality in California. I'm a strong supporter of single payer. We can use this office as a bully pulpit to get us there. One of the reasons why I want to study Medicare for children first, by the way, this is not my proposal. This is a proposal back in the day by President Richard Nixon, is because not only is it a preventative investment in the future, children don't cost very much from a healthcare perspective. And this is something I believe the state of California can afford to do without any federal subsidies. A little bit about me. I spent the last 4 years as the California director of the Working Families Party. I also served as the political director for Senator Bernie Sanders in his race for president in California, where we came in first place in 47 out of 53 congressional districts, thanks to our partnership with Our Revolution and all of you. I also spent 12 years as elected on the San Francisco Board of Supervisors and School Board, where I'm proud to have made San Francisco the only city to make community college tuition free. Also passed the largest municipal investment in early childhood education, the first $15 minimum wage ordinance in the state of California, and negotiated the highest level of affordable housing. This is the energy that I want to bring to the Insurance Commission. And I'm really excited to run for it with Our Revolution support. And I look forward to serving as a California Insurance Commissioner. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Jane. Really appreciate that. We're excited to endorse you for your race for California Insurance Commissioner. Now turning a little bit to the race itself, what's that looking like? What are some of the big issues that are popping up in your race?
So the biggest issue is that insurance has become incredibly unaffordable for Californians. It's the number one issue that we're hearing is that small business owners are increasingly unable to get insurance, and that many homeowners are unable to get insurance. And as I mentioned before, if you're not able to get insurance, you can't play in our economy. Insurance actually has an outsized say on who gets to build wealth in this country. And that's why the fight for economic equity is so important. This office is not just about insurance. It is a civil rights office. It's a consumer advocate enforcement office. It's an office through which we can fight for everyday people to participate in our economy. I'm the only candidate that is introducing ideas like single payer, not just for healthcare, but other types of insurance as well, and a public nonprofit option for auto insurance. And by the way, Canada runs a fantastic single payer auto insurance program, which we've been studying and looking at. The last thing that I will mention that I forgot to say earlier is that I'm really proud to have the endorsement of Our Revolution, SEIU California, California Teachers Association, Senator Bernie Sanders, Loris Huerta. We are really running a grassroots people-powered campaign to win the statewide office in the largest state in the country, California.
Yeah, no, it sounds, insurance is a huge issue in California. We've seen it, with fires and everything else. So glad that you're running for this position, Jane, and we're super excited to support you. And you'll be hearing more from us about how we can get involved shortly. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you. I'm so honored to have Our Revolution support.
Thank you, Jane, and looking forward to putting you in that seat. I think the California primary is in June, right? So looking forward to seeing you make it past the post there. All right, so I'm just going to go through some upcoming events while we wait for our last guest to show up. We're dropping a link in the chat now for folks to sign on as citizen co-sponsors for the Defund the Oligarchs, Fund the People resolution, which I mentioned at the top of the call. It's time for Congress to stop giving our tax dollars to billionaires intent on cruelty and corruption and to invest in working families. And I think what I heard Karina Villa say is that she's thinking about doing something similar, but at the state level, which is amazing. And so that link is getting dropped in the chat now. Go click on it and sign on. We'll deliver some of these to your members of Congress. As I mentioned, and we talked with Christine about, the next No Kings event has been announced for March 28th. We're already getting started organizing for massive turnout nationwide, but we need your help. You can click the link that's getting dropped in the chat now to get involved. Anyone who's interested in hosting or representing local events can sign up at that link now. Also, need your help a little bit to help us fund our work to push back against Trump and push, to prevent and stop this war from happening, to organize for No Kings, to get all these candidates elected to Congress in the midterms, those folks that are willing to take on the oligarchs. So we have a new sticker that we're selling. That link is getting dropped in the chat now. It's our No Kings, No Oligarchs sticker and Make Trump Cry in the Midterms sticker. So buy those. That'll help us make sure we can get some of these folks elected. And then finally, want to urge all of you to join one of our citizen action teams. We have them all over the country. We're growing our networks across, from coast to coast, and there are many different ways to plug in, whether it's joining No Kings, whether it's organizing an anti-oligarch event in your location, if you happen to live next to, say, Peter Thiel or Elon Musk, or even a local rich guy that's trying to buy elections, right? That link is getting dropped in the chat now. Sign up to um, become a member of the CAT team, the Citizen Action Team. We're excited to have you, and we're excited to get things rolling in your neck of the woods. And then finally, I want to bring on our final guest of the evening, Representative Jasmine Crockett. It's great to see you. Um, Jasmine, Miss Crockett has been representing Texas, the Dallas area, for a while. Everybody knows Representative Crockett, you're a fighter, and you've never held back when taking on Trump and MAGA extremists. Thank you for being with us tonight. How are things shaping up on the Hill today after Trump started a war with Iran over the weekend?
Well, I am in Texas because the primary is tomorrow. But I will tell you, interestingly enough, that you bring up this illegal, unconstitutional war. We were supposed to be in session tomorrow, and we were supposed to be in session until Friday, and Speaker Johnson has canceled session tomorrow. Right now, there is a war powers resolution that I fully anticipate will make it to the floor, hopefully this week. It is Ro Khanna and Thomas Massie that have co-sponsored that. And I am hoping that the Democrats can hold together and vote yes on the war powers resolution, and hopefully get a few Republicans. But I would say that this is the time to pick up the phone and call your representatives, no matter what type of district you live in, because people are dying every single day, and it's illegal. And we need Congress to do their job. Declaring war is exclusively within the power of the Congress, not the president. So I appreciate that you talk about the No Kings rallies, which I've had an opportunity to participate in a number of times. But this is when we need all the soldiers on the field to go ahead and start blowing up these phones. We absolutely need to apply pressure. Anything that we've gotten has been because of the pressure that has been applied from the outside, including finally getting the Epstein Transparency Act passed into law. So do not doubt your power in this moment. Please, please, please lift your voices, because I don't know how bad things are going to have to get. And I don't know how many lives are going to literally be lost if we don't do this. So please make the phone calls as soon as possible.
Thank you, Representative Crockett, for making that call to action. We really appreciate it. So tell us a little bit about what's going on in Texas. You have a big thing happening tomorrow, and
Yes.
tell us what's going on in that race.
Some people think it's a miracle. And maybe it is. Maybe Christmas is gonna come early. Listen, for the longest, they've tried to convince us that Texas is a red state. I have been explaining for a very long time that Texas is a voter suppressed state, as well as a state in which voters just aren't very motivated. And I knew that if we could just turn out the voters, then we would win. Well, when we look at the numbers right now, Democrats have outvoted Republicans throughout this primary. That has never happened in the entire time that I have lived in Texas. So this is a really good sign. In fact, the Republicans had a report that was leaked, and they said there is a code red alert. We've got a problem in Texas. And it's true. And this is a state that is a majority minority state. And what we historically have seen is that people of color have not been turning out at the same rate as other folk in Texas. And we really needed to get people excited. And we are seeing that excitement right now. We're seeing that in the numbers. And so it'll be really exciting to see what happens. But going into November, the Republicans are going to pull out every nasty, ugly trick they can, because now they know that Democrats will be emboldened, because seeing is believing. There's so many people that have decided to just go and vote because it's like the cool thing to do right now, right? Like you want to be a part of this. So I'm really excited because I do believe that, yes, I know we've said it over and over about Texas, but this is really our time. And that's not just me saying it. You can look at the numbers and see that people are motivated, they're getting out and they're voting.
And what do you think are some of the biggest issues that folks in Texas are facing? I mean, we're all dealing with the economy, right? We're all, of course, dealing with this illegal war. But what are some of the Texas specific things that folks are most concerned about, and that you can do something about in Congress or in the Senate if you make it past the primary tomorrow?
Yeah, so definitely like hitting on affordability, I will say the tariffs. Texas is one of the largest trading states and one of the largest exporting states that we have in this country. And that even includes our farmers and ranchers. So we are experiencing a record number of bankruptcy filings by our farmers and ranchers, specifically because of the tariffs. They have lost a portion of those that they typically export to. We know, for instance, if you look at beef, there was a lot of conversation around what happened as it relates to Argentina and this president deciding to send $40 billion, again, not really sure where he got the legal authority to do that, off to Argentina and help them out at the same time that we were in a government shutdown. And he said he didn't have the legal authority, which he did, to actually make sure that SNAP benefits were getting to Americans where they only get $6 a day to eat. Um, those people in Argentina are now selling their beef to people that used to buy our beef from us. So now we're losing jobs. I went to Amarillo, where they are laying off 1,700 people that work in their meat processing plant down there because they don't have the product actually coming in. And that meat processing plant was supplying the beef patties at 400 Wendy's restaurants. So, literally, like you can see the direct impact at every single phase. So, agriculture is something that we do really big. I'll also say that overall, small businesses have really been hit really hard. And I think that that's around the country. But again, because of how much we do in trade, it's impacting us. Like to give you an example of how much trade we do, if you just look at the port in Houston, they do about $220 billion. So like it impacts everyone. It impacts the restaurants. It impacts the hotels. It impacts every single person when there's just less money that's being circulated around. So I'd say that that's a big deal. I'd also say that, considering the fact that Elon Musk is in Texas, we definitely, I personally feel like Texans are more invested in finding out, what type of damage Elon Musk did with his Doge project and our personal information. I know this was a big issue for everyone, but considering the fact that Elon is actually in Texas, I don't know if I just hear it more because he is in Central Texas or not. But I would say that a lot of people are concerned about what all he did. And frankly, people are concerned about their retirements. I get asked often, are they really going to go after our Social Security? We paid into it. Is there going to be anything that is there? And then the final thing, and this was not in any particular order. I think everyone in the country is talking about immigration. I think there's more conversations about our immigration detention centers, specifically in Texas, knowing that the Dilley facility is the facility that incarcerates babies as well. I just feel like we talk about that more. Obviously, ICE is a whole conversation in general, and it's like similar to what we see taking place everywhere else. But with us having the facility in El Paso, that is the largest ICE detention facility in the country. And then with us also having Dilley, that does have those children. I just think we talk about the detention facilities probably a little bit more than in some of the other places.
Yeah, and look, I mean, some of the research we've done shows that, CEOs of Core Civic and Geo Group, which are, two of the largest sort of for-profit prison and immigrant holding companies in the country, gave Trump millions of dollars for his election, and they're getting back billions, right, with all these new locations popping up. So,
Yeah.
really appreciate you bringing that up. So what are you expecting tomorrow? What's going to happen? It's a big race on the primary. We did, and I should mention, right? We did invite one of your opponents, James Tallarico. He unfortunately couldn't make it to this call because he had a conflict, but we're so glad that you did. So what are you expecting tomorrow? What is there going to be lots and lots of turnout?
I think there will be a lot of turnout. This has been truly a remarkable and a historic election thus far. It's been the most expensive election, primary election in the history of the state of Texas, that's for sure. Um, and, we've seen such a surge in turnout that no polling is going to be helpful. Just because I want to say probably close to 1/3 of the voters are not typical primary voters, at least in Dallas County. That's what it was looking like. So I think the trend is probably pretty similar across the state. And it's hard to poll for people that don't normally turn out.
Right.
So, it's everything's up in the air. I mean, we will see kind of what happens tomorrow. We're just working really, really hard, and we're trying to get to as many people as we can and make sure that we can engage in real conversations and listen to the people, because I think that's what matters most, is to listen to the very people that it is that you seek to serve. And make sure that you can lay out your policy issues. And, even on our website, I encourage everyone to go visit, especially if you're in Texas, at jasmineforus.com. You can not only see like the policy issues that I'm taking on, but you can also see like bills that I've signed on to in various areas as a sitting member of Congress is trying to go back to the Congress.
Well, Representative Crockett, thank you for spending some time with us here on the eve of your primary election. We really appreciate it, and looking forward to continuing to converse with you when you're in the Senate. So
Thank you. Sounds
thank you so
good. Have a
much.
good one.
You too. Thank you so much to the over 600 folks that were on this call tonight here in the Zoom room with us, and the thousands and thousands watching online through Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, YouTube. I don't even know. There's a long list, right? Everybody gets their information from different places. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. And just want to end this call the way we end all our calls here at our revolution with our little chant. When we organize, we win.
win.
When we organize,
We
we
win.
win. When we organize,
We
we
win.
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 Thank you, everybody.